I'm Michael Connor, and I am disappointed that we are not going to get to see the Texans maybe end a career of a 44-year-old quarterback. I guess I'll just have to wait a week to see them do it to a 42-year-old quarterback in Pittsburgh.
I'm John Hickman. A lot of people are mad at C.J. Stroud or Nick Kelly for the offensive output after the first two drives, but it wasn't all on them. Execution just got to be better all around.
Stan Norfleet here. These Texans have surpassed most of our expectations. They've got one thing left to do, and then we could talk about putting a nickname, a moniker of sorts, with this D'Amico Ryan, C.J. Stroud era. More of that to come right here on the Texas Squad Show.
Yeehaw! It's time for the Texans Squad. Everything Houston Texans, every week. Bringing you the big hits, game-changing plays, and all the action straight from the Lone Star State. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Saddle up and squad up. It's the Texans Squad Show, starting now.
And welcome in if you're watching live on a Tuesday. This is the Texans Squad Show. Michael Connor, John Hickman, and Stan Norfleet with you as we got a lot to get into tonight. Of course, take a little bit of a look back on the Texans' win over the Chargers this past weekend. Also, of course, the week ahead, which is the last game of the season against the Indianapolis Colts. My prediction at the end of the Squad Show on Sunday was correct. 12 o'clock noon start on Sunday. What a shock. We'll also get into the potential playoff matchups and is this playoff team in general ready to go for said playoffs, because it is going to be here before you know it, guys. Welcome, as I mentioned, to the both of you. Tonight's episode, of course, is live on YouTube. You can always hit subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then you can find the daily show anywhere that you get your podcast with John. Go and search Locked On Texans there. So we're coming off of the week, of course, where they went on the road and beat the Chargers, a game that started off with an absolute bang, and then it was a struggle fest the rest of the way when it comes to scoring points, but they got the victory. The defense does what it does, guys. A couple of days later, after the victory, how are we feeling about it? John, since we didn't hear from you on Sunday, we'll lead off with you tonight.
Yeah, man, I thought the first two possessions for Houston was exactly what they wanted. And look, D'Amico Ryan just recently said, once our offense gives up 7 points, it should be a mentality that's enough for us to go win the football game. He has these guys mentally playing like the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. I remember watching Ray Lewis a long time ago. Once we get 6, we feel like that's enough to win the game. So 6, 7, no, y'all don't. Okay, but I look at the game and I look at how the outcome, ended for Houston, and it wasn't all on C.J. Stroud. I know he threw a terrible interception, got off a read. The other interception was a tip pass, and a lot of people want to put blame on C.J. He obviously has to be better. People want to put blame on Nick Caley. I don't think he was on Nick Caley, but there was a 15-yard penalty from Dalton Schultz that eliminated an 8-yard gain. So instead of 3rd and 2, is now 3rd and 17. Dalton Schultz fumble eliminated a first down. The Nico Collins holding penalty in the third quarter, that eliminated an 8-yard gain. So instead of 2nd and 2, Houston was facing 1st and 8. So things like that. If you ask D'Amico Ryan, he's going to bring up one word. He's brought that one word up all year. It starts with an E, and it's execution. So in areas where we see Houston have those positive gains to continue to sustain drives, moments like those hurt. I thought Houston overall, from a play calling standpoint, I thought Nick Kelly was pretty good given the circumstances and situations. And I thought that coming away from the game, C.J. Stroud does need to play better. But it wasn't just placed solely on their shoulders as to why Houston was unable to score points consistently. Overall, defensively, they did what they do. They got back to their standard. We talked about it a couple of times here on the show. 5 sacks. Made Justin Herbert's life a living hell, which they've done the last 2 seasons now since they've met up.
Interception by Aziz.
Interception by Aziz. Crucial interception by Aziz.
Interception, yeah.
Because that was a red zone. They could have put up points, and if they scored there, totally different ball game.
So, yeah.
I thought defensively they got back to playing their brand of football, got the swag going right. And overall, I thought it was a good, tough win for Houston. This is a good, tough winning football team. So outside of Arizona and Baltimore, it's been one-score games. Win or lose, it's been one-score games. So that's what they do. They continue to do it. Hopefully they get some more offensive rhythm going when they play the Colts this upcoming week. But you live with the win.
The Texans now, after starting 0-5 in one-score games, have now reeled off 6 in a row in this 8-game win streak. Winners 11 of the last 13. So the Texans, by definition, are the hottest team in the National Football League, followed up by the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have a streak going of their own.
That is
so random. So we'll talk some more about the Colts here in just a little bit. But thinking back to that Chargers game, if you didn't see the show, John, I said that D'Amico and that staff, including Nick Caley and Matt Burke, as well as Frank Ross, special teams coordinator, and all the assistants, they should be commended. You know, the 17 now, only 6 others have started 0-3 and come back and make the postseason. And the Texans were the last to do it in 2018. They do it again this year. How did they do it? Especially when you think about C.J. Stroud being down 3.5 games, if you will, really 3 games and 3/4 of the Broncos game. And so that's remarkable to not only they lose the Broncos game, but then you go undefeated with Davis Mills as a starter. And it's been defense and special teams. You know, so many things have happened throughout the course of this season. I think about Danico Archery. What happens, and I don't think it's coincidence, this team impacts some of the most basic. All of a sudden, you got Cameron Dicker, who has never missed a field goal under 40 yards.
That's crazy.
And he misses an extra point. Danico Archery, I think at least twice in 2 different games this year, Danico Archery has blocked some field goals and some extra points. Like this, Andy Reid losing his mind on a 4th down, deciding to go for it and things of that nature. Stuff happens. Where we at? Aziz punches out the football early in the year. I forget which one of those 3 games.
In the outfield, Stan. That's what it is.
It's just one of those.
You gotta believe.
You gotta believe.
And look, it's so random. And the reason I didn't pick the Texans going into this ball game is because we found out at kickoff that neither Ariante Ursery nor Trent Brown were going to start. I'm like, man, the Texans without both tackles, I can't do it. Now we know that the Chargers were banged up as well. I was like, on the road, I don't know about this one. And that's why I want to get the Texans because of the tackles. But, like, when was the last time we've seen the Texans do that? Your 2 starting tackles. I haven't seen his grade, but it wasn't as leaky. C.J. Stroud was not sacked. The TFLs got cut down almost in half from what they were the week before versus the Raiders, I believe. And then you come into that ball game. So I know that's a super long-winded way, and there are several other things, but this is a tough team. They played a real schedule. They now have gone on the road and taken care of business in a couple of instances. Kansas City, Baltimore, granted without Lamar Jackson. Now you're going to the Chargers. Josh Allen, 2 years in a row, his worst ball game. And then you've done this to Justin Herbert now for the last 2 times you've seen him in kind of win or go home. I know that the Chargers are in the postseason, so it's not literal, but there was still a chance they could get win the division at that point. So we got to commend them for what they've done. D'Amico Ryans kept them together. They're playing for their coach. And we'll talk about some other nuances here and there.
I got a question for y'all really quick, if y'all don't mind. I mean, I see the conversation going around social media, who should be coach of the year candidate and things of that nature. And I understand Houston started 0-3, and it was a tough climb to get back to where they are now. But they have beaten 4 11-win teams this year. 49ers, San Fran, and Brock Purdy got that offense. Granted, they didn't play Brock Purdy when they took him on, but they beat the 49ers, who were still winning at that time. They beat the Jaguars, they beat Buffalo, and they beat the Chargers. And so at one point, do we sit back and look at the resume of this year, all things considered, and say D'Amico Ryans at the very least should be finished second in the coach of the year race?
I think you're right that he's balling. Liam Cohen's winning it. There's nobody else that's got a chance, right?
Wow.
There are a couple other people that I want to give a shot to. What Dave Canales has done with the Carolina Panthers, if they beat the Bucs and they win that division on Sunday, you got to look at just how bad that Panthers organization has been. I don't think they've made the postseason since like 2017. Dave Canales is on there. And then also, let's go up here to New England, where the Texans may have to go. What Mike Vrabel has done in New England with Drake May and not a robust cast of characters on the offensive side of the football, I think we got to give some acknowledgement there as well.
Well, they got a wide receiver that used to play for the Texans that apparently likes to strangle people.
It was a tough day for the Diggs family. Brother Trayvon was released by the Cowboys.
Yeah. I didn't even. We forgot Ben Johnson too. He's probably going to get some love to it for it as
Oh,
well.
what he's
right?
done with the Bears for sure.
Man, that was a fire. Kyle Shanahan, by the way, all things considered, he don't got a number one receiver. He had to win games with Mac Jones, the offensive line.
Kyle Shanahan.
No pass rusher on the other side of the
Their
ball.
defense is terrible. Oh my
It's
god,
awful, and they've been able to win 11 games. I think this is a great year for just coaching overall. I know the bottom teams, when you look at the Jets and the Raiders and what they've been able to do, but the Jags on a win streak. Houston's on a win streak. San Fran had a mini win streak going on. Buffalo had, I think, a 3-game win streak as well. Sean Payton up in Denver, they had a win streak. Mike Vrabel had a long win streak. I think it's been like 4, 5, 6 or more game win streaks this year in the NFL. There's been some good coaching going on despite roster construction. So shout out to these coaches out here.
Can I add one more guy to that list? If Mike Tomlin and his Steelers are able to beat the Baltimore Ravens and they end up winning that division, which is likely where the Texans are headed, whoever wins that, Texans will be the 5 seed. I think Jacksonville's going to beat Tennessee. They be the 3 seed. So you have the 5-4 matchup. Texans pack up on the wild card round and go on the road. If they go into Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh won it with a 42-year-old quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. You trade George Pickens in the middle of the year. DK Metcalf suspended. When you're in a playoff race or a division race, I should say, going into the playoffs. So Metcalf is out this week as well. TJ Watt, punctured lung. They're saying he's still undetermined if he's going to play this week. He's been out a few games here. Like, you start looking at what they've had to play through in Pittsburgh, and for Tomlin to have his team right there again, I just want to add him to the list of those other coaches that you referenced.
he secured another non-losing season. It's
Never had one. Is that 22 start? No, 17, 18 straight, something like that.
It's absolutely crazy. Any final thoughts from the Chargers game before we hit the first time out, guys? Just anything left on the bone for you?
Yeah. So, and I would love for y'all to give y'all thoughts on this when we come back. I don't want to spend too much time talking here, but I have given Nick Caserio a lot of flack, and I think rightfully so. But picking up Kevon Wallace was major for Houston. Leaky Fotal played some good football for Houston. Naquan Jones has played some decent snaps for Houston. I see who am I missing, someone else, but just some of these late season pickups to kind of put a Band-Aid over the injuries the roster has been dealing with. I think I got to give him credit for what he's been able to do.
I think for me, I just believe in this game, and some might say in life, you create your own luck. And I think the Texans have formed a mindset, right? This swarm thing that he's been preaching for now 3 years, you see it. They compete like hell all over the field. When Stingley leaves, look how many guys got banged up in that game. Lassiter grabbing that knee. He's out. We don't know what the situation is. He returns. Aziz, the other shoulder, gets banged up. He returns. I'm missing somebody else that had to lead the game. The week before, when Derek Stingley Jr. left the game, he comes back in. Like, the mindset is we're going to push through, especially on that defensive side of the football. And I think that just speaks volumes. What those guys are doing down on the interior, given how many dudes that play D-tackle are on the IR, still fighting like crazy. And so I just think that I become even more impressed as we continue to evaluate specifically this defensive side of the football. It's a mindset. They have bought in. There's no doubt about it. This is the best version of the Texans overall, top to bottom, that we have seen, but it's because that defense is clearly setting the pace.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think that, it is, John, you're right. It's a topic of conversation we brought up many times this year with Nick Caserio and the thought of moving on from him in the offseason. But I think with the way that they've responded with everybody, I mean, I know that we've even talked about that with Nick Caley as well. It would take flaming out in the first round really bad to, I think, even get a conversation going at this point on anything. I think that the staff and everybody's back again next year. That's my guess at this point. So
see, that's the hard part, man. I'm all for making the tough decision. And I just think they say winning is the deodorant, right? It masks everything. But at the same time, when you're running a business, you have to look at the full scale of what your operation has been. The likelihood of this defense doing this again, and if they win a division, you got the first place schedule again. Defense is going to be good as long as DeMeco's coaching it. I'm just saying the defense bailed them out way more than they should have had to this season. I got to get this offense fixed if I'm Callahan and McNair.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Got to do that. And we'll, of course, have an entire offseason to talk about what we want to see them do to fix this offense for the 2026 season. I don't know what day of the week it is anymore. The year's almost over. The new year is almost
one more day of 25.
One more day of 25. When we get back, let's talk about being playoff ready, guys. Are they there? We'll do it here in a moment. Locked on Texans Squad Show. Let's be real. No one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll sheets. That's where Gusto comes in to take the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is an all-in-one remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle of hidden fees. Unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price, which means no surprise charges at the end of the month. Gusto's automated tools like offer letters, onboarding materials, and direct deposits save hours every week. And knowing you can reach certified HR experts anytime gives you the real peace of mind. Try Gusto at gusto.com/lockedonnfl and get 3 months when you run your first payroll. That's right, 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/lockedonnfl. One more time, that's gusto.com/lockedonnfl. So it is almost time for the Houston Texans to get to the playoffs. We'll do some discussing about that. Of course, they will be in action one more game. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show against the Indianapolis Colts to finish off the season. This is the Squad Show, by the way. Michael Connor, Norfleet, and John Hickman with you. The Colts will not start Phillip Rivers this week. For those that have been under a rock today, Riley Leonard will start I think he was
rookie.
Draft pick. Yeah, rookie.
6th-round draft pick. Yep, rookie Riley Leonard out of Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. So we will
formerly
see.
Wake Forest. He transferred over.
We'll see what he has. Probably going to be a rough day for him. I'm going to imagine that his best friend will be handing the ball off to Jonathan Taylor, who I assume is playing. I haven't seen.
And I think the Colts will be out of their mind to let Jonathan Taylor go out there. Unless he's got some type of bonus structure, some compensation tied to hitting certain benchmarks. A couple guys that would not be playing for me, Jonathan Taylor and Ty Warren. Yeah. I'm just not letting that happen.
Nah, I'm with you on that one. They're not playing for anything. There's no point in being
Quentin
out.
Nelson too. Yeah.
Yeah. Texans huge favorites in this one too. I think it's I'll pull up the exact number, but I think it's 10.5.
I think I saw 10.5.
Don't take the over on that, guys.
No, don't.
Do not fall for it.
I wouldn't touch this game with a 10-foot pole. I don't trust the Texans with any betting line other than the money line for them to win. That's about as far as I get.
I got 10.5.
Yeah, 10.5. Playoffs though, guys, with what we've seen out of this football team, do you think they're playoff ready at this point, Stan?
Defensively, yes. Special teams, mostly. That offense, and I know a few weeks ago after, and I forget what game that was, our guy Wade Smith, who joins us after each and every game, he and I had some very opinionated differences on this offense. There's just a basic level of operation and consistency. Let's be clear. Jacksonville, I saw one of the polls. Jacksonville has like an 85% chance to win the division. That means the Texans, to get to the Super Bowl, they've got to go on the road, likely cold, in some very hostile environments, 3 weeks in a row to get to a Super Bowl. Now, that's the only thing we have not seen the Texans do. We have not seen them go on the road in the postseason in the DeMeco Ryans era, especially outside, and win a playoff game. And I still have some skepticism about this offense. Yes, I just saw Jaden Higgins go for 75 yards in a tud. I also saw it was busted coverage. Now, no, he ran away from that dude, but the safety got a little turned around anyway. Anyway, the young guys made the plays. I've come around on Woody Marks and some other guys. Nico's still a top flat wide receiver, and I think Schultz was a Pro Bowl snub. How healthy is this offensive line? D'Amico said we get them back. Okay, is that this week? Is that the first week, wild card weekend? Still need to know what's going on with that. A bit surprising that the Colts weren't able to take more advantage at least early. They started dialing up that pressure late in that ball game, and it created some problems. I would have went to it. The Chargers, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know why the Chargers didn't go with that pressure look and stack those guys at the line of scrimmage as we discussed last week. Guys, it's the offense for me. I don't know multiple weeks if this offense can go score 20 points. When have we seen them do it in this situation versus this level of competition consistently? We haven't. Now offensively, we haven't.
Can I push back on that? And it just going based off of what we've seen. The Houston Texans had a first place schedule this year. I understand the regular season and playoffs are a whole lot different, but they've had to play an 11-win team, Jacksonville, Buffalo. They've had to play some of these guys, and they've been able to beat them by scoring just enough.
Where they play?
KC was in KC. Chargers, they was in LA. Buffalo was at home. And who am I missing? Help me out. Jacksonville was at home.
Denver was here.
Denver was also in Houston, and CJ Stroud exits that game. But at the very least, they've gotten two of those.
Kansas City is the one.
KC and the Chargers away.
And I said outside. So Kansas City is the one.
Well,
and it was cold.
Honest question: Why does the outside part bother you? Because you've brought it up on multiple occasions. I'm just curious.
Oh, you mean like the dome and the stadium itself?
I'm saying literally playing outdoors.
Outside of playing in Houston. So.
Oh, no. I'm saying outdoors. And I apologize. You were trying to make a point, John, and I cut you short.
No, I get back to they've done it this year. And if there was a time where I thought it would be different, it was a Chargers game. Then they win the game again. And they do it in the Texans fashion in 2025 with one score of victory. So I look at the AFC playoff picture altogether, and I think everybody looks at every team and say, okay, this is the flaw, this is the flaw, this is the flaw. And those flaws really become an any given Sunday or Saturday because of the playoffs type of feel where the Texans have a shot. But I think it's comfortable for us to say Houston can beat these teams because let's say they play the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs where they beat them before. Now, was it in Buffalo where it gets snowy? That's different. But Houston has a tiebreaker. New England is the number 1 seed in that division, so I believe Buffalo would have to play in Houston in that case. Am I right or wrong on that?
If it played out that way, yes. If Buffalo would be the 7, Houston would be the 5.
So that'll play in Houston's favor. So if they play Buffalo at any point in the playoffs, I think it's okay for us to pick them. I personally think they can beat Denver, but you look at both quarterback situations and you say who's going to give you the advantage, CJ or Bo Nix, but it goes back to the defense making plays, and I think many of us would choose Houston's defense over Denver's defense, top 2, top 3 defenses. But I get back to my point is every team in the AFC is beatable. And I think that's why it's okay for us to say Houston can make this playoff push to at least a conference championship game. Because the flaws in each and every team, offensively, Houston can expose defensively. And this team has shown to be good enough to be able to at least score 17 to 20 points. I think it's okay to roll with them.
So I'm going to answer, John, I'm going to address your pushback to my comment while answering MC's question. MC, think about the D'Amico Ryan, CJ Stroud Texans the last 2 years. What happened at the end of the year? Because we have to stop acting like the defense hasn't been good since D'Amico showed up. The defense has been a top third of the league since D'Amico's been here. Now, it's just so overwhelming this year, and they've been so good. But they've been good the other 2 years. That's why that Cleveland game looked like that at NRG in 2023. The last time the 2 times we've seen the Texans with CJ Stroud and D'Amico, when they had to go on the road in the divisional round, they had to go to a frigid Baltimore in 2023, and they had to go to a frigid Kansas City in 2024. The scoring comes down in the league, in the playoffs, period, indoor or outdoor. And now you factor in wind, crowd noise, weather. When you start getting the playoffs, you got to remember, it's a lot of young guys out there. Higgins and Noel and Woody Marks have never played in anything like that. And I get it. You know, Wood Marks has been through some SEC stadiums, but the stakes are different. More people are watching. More people are talking about it. The pressure of being a professional in those moments where every mistake is magnified because those games are so tight. I'm a big proponent. You got to be built a certain type of way organizationally to go on the road, especially in weather in some of these stadiums that we're talking about, Denver and New England and Buffalo and Baltimore, perhaps Pittsburgh. Like, those are very experienced, football savvy environments, and it does create an advantage. You can't say that it matters when they play at NRG, but then it doesn't matter when you go play on the road in somebody else's spot. You can't have both.
I don't think it works that way when I look at it. I think when I look at it, it doesn't bother me as much when it comes to them going on the road and playing outdoors, especially in this given season, is strictly down to matchup things. I think everything you mentioned, scoring is going to go down. So, okay, I'll look at every matchup, and they're going to have the edge when it comes to who has a better defense on the field. Okay?
No question.
And I think the majority of these teams that look, we can laugh about this because we know it's true. They kick way too many field goals. Most teams they play, they're going to have the kicking edge when it comes to their field goal kicker.
Calvin Fairbairn's excellent. Yes.
So, I look at those two things. I guess that's why I'm not as, I don't worry about it as much because I think you're playing. I think, on all honesty, I think this team is going to play for field goals in the playoffs more often than not. That's
why they cannot play for field goals.
And they've been good in the red zone this year.
In the first half, the first half, Houston has to create some sort of a real score lead, like a touchdown score lead, and typically it's been in the second quarter. They can play for the game late like that because they've been able to do it and win games. But in the playoffs, I think if you give Houston a 10-point lead, if the offense can give them a 10-point lead, it'll get real spooky for whoever they're playing against. I really do believe that.
Now, there's one thing, and we'll get here as we get through week 18. We all are in agreement, and I see some of the comments over there. The Texans can beat anybody in the league. We got to get to the space where you start predicting they will, and then we got to tell people, and then the fans have to tell us why. Why do you? Hope is one thing. D'Amico Ryans can't create a game plan on hope. Him and Kaylee and Matt Burke had to develop a sound football philosophy rooted in what? This team has been inconsistent on third down, woeful in the red area. The defense in the kicking game has been outstanding. The one-score games we talked about, they've been on a roll here. They've gone outside in, I think that Kansas City game, it was somehow, because it was Sunday Night Football, I think it was a cold front that came through Kansas City at that point. I want to say that game was in the 40s. That's the first time. It was
in the 40s or 30s. It was really cold.
That's the first time we've seen D'Amico and CJ go on the road in that type of environment, and they got it done. Your point is valid, John. The Kansas City game is the one they point to and go, that's the one. Yeah. We know we can do it, whether it's Pittsburgh or whether it's Baltimore. Now, we'll see. Derrick Henry, we'll see what he looked like. He looked damn good the other night. We'll see if Lamar Jackson is.
Don't worry about it. I got a cure for that, Stan, for Derrick Henry. You want to know what it is?
What's that?
I'm gonna take the over. That's what I'm gonna do. Anytime I take the over on anybody on PrizePicks, one of our the people that come
our partners,
our partners. Anytime I take that over, don't worry about it. It ain't happening. So I got y'all, Texas fans. It's my bad luck that I use for good luck for y'all.
John, I'm looking at the clock. I'm not going to hold you, but I just want to ask a question if I could. Can we be, because sometimes you slide into Homer MC and John is kind of in the middle. I like the Texans too. It would do my heart good to see them win and hoist up. I celebrate D'Amico and CJ, two brothers at their respective positions, getting busy. I would love nothing more. I love this city. That's why I live here. But I do want to talk football for a second. Y'all can't tell me y'all aren't a teeny weeny bit concerned. Like when I talk about going on the road, temperature, stage, like.
No, yeah.
I guess I'm saying.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. I'm just.
No, and if you guys want to, because I know we want to stay in our time frame, we can bring this conversation back.
Yeah.
But I think my concern level and my not concern level, maybe about 60-40, because it's just really hard for me to bet against D'Amico right now.
Well, I don't like the way you said it. It's not betting against D'Amico. It's acknowledging this defense has had moments where they keep people in ball games. And if it's so tight, we've seen, me and Wade got into it. C.J. Stroud left the ball game versus the Denver Broncos. C.J. Stroud does not play defense. Bo Nix made more plays versus that defense than that defense made against Bo Nix, and that was that NRG. Now flip that and let's go take that to Denver. I'm not saying that the Texans would or wouldn't win at this point. I need to see the injury report and the matchup. I'm saying, and again, my usual hater, Eric Ashton over there, 774, he hates every week. Of course, defense can travel, but you have to acknowledge the other team too. They're good too. Yeah. Have y'all not recognized Denver's number one in the AFC? They have more wins than Houston. They beat Houston in Houston. I'm not going to just act like that didn't exist to make everybody feel comfortable. So that's my only thing. I'm not saying the Texans have no chance. I'm saying we have to acknowledge there's a reason that Denver is the number one team in the league. And the Texans are fighting for a position. Last thing for me, somebody tell me when this run game is going to travel. The defense by itself is not good enough. You have to be able to run the football, Eric. Push, and you might learn something. Let's go, MC. It's on you.
All right, we'll bring that back and take a look at the matchups a little bit as well here in a moment. Locked On Texans Squad Show. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into player projections for the first time, trying something new can feel like a challenge, but with PrizePicks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure football matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never slows down, and PrizePicks lets you stay in control. PrizePicks is the daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections. No drafts, no waiting. Just pick more or less and play your way. Getting started on PrizePicks is quick and simple. The app is super easy to navigate. Makes watching those games more engaging, especially when following individual player performances. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. So the Texans are on the doorstep of playing playoff football. They're officially in the door after this past weekend, entering play the final weekend of the season as the 5 seed. Of course, a lot can change. Welcome back to the Squad Show. Michael Connor, Stan Norfleet, and John Hickman with you. The Jaguars could lose, and the Texans end up the AFC South champion. I don't think any of us believe in our right minds that will happen as they play the Tennessee Titans. And the Texans will probably be locked into that 5 seed, but the Texans could also lose, and things would get wacky at this point. They probably won't lose to the Colts, but you never know in this crazy sport that is football in the National Football League as a whole. We were talking about it before the break, guys. John, you asked about playing on the road and whatnot, or just this in general. We're talking about the confidence level, and I'll start it here for me, and then you guys can go. Again, I get back to kind of like John said. I have a hard time betting against a DeMeco Ryans coach team right now in general because of the way that they're playing. And I think that the way that they're together, it just feels like they're, I mentioned this the other night, John, you weren't here for it when we did the post-game show. They got a little bit of a vibe for me. And I always, find a way somehow, of course, to make it about baseball. But for me, it was about baseball because I did the 2017 Astros pre- and post-game shows the entire season. And it was like that first special season. It just kind of had that feel of special season the entire time. And that group just felt special. And I don't know, there's this feeling in my gut with this group that something special is about to happen. Yeah. And I think it's in large part, too, for me, I don't want to say zero respect because you have to respect every single opponent. And they aren't going to have the feelings that I have, obviously, inside of NRG Stadium. I just have a lack of respect for the rest of the AFC South or the AFC contenders. I have a lack of respect at the quarterback position for the Denver Broncos. I lack respect for the Patriots and their lack of experience. I don't have a lack of respect for them, but just their lack of experience. I will always have a lack of respect for the Jaguars. I think they're as fake as it gets. The Steelers have got an old man River back there at quarterback, so they don't scare me one bit. I already know that they can kill Justin Herbert and Josh Allen. So I don't know. Maybe it's that at the end of the day for me.
So when I said 60-40, the 40% is the football aspect of things, right? And when we talk about getting into the playoffs, you talk about being able to do 3 things that Houston will have to do. Number one is run the ball. We do have concerns there, although Houston has ran the ball a little bit better later in the year than compared to when they started in those first 3 games. And the numbers are crazy. When they run for over 100 yards, they're able to score 26 points per game now, maybe a little bit better than that. But things do shrink in the playoffs, and that changes in the playoffs, right? You need to lean on your run a little bit more in the playoffs. And MC Mount pushed back to the Bo Nix thing and just maybe overall when you look at Denver and Jacksonville, how we may view their quarterbacks. I'm sure other teams in the AFC is viewing Houston the quarterback the same way.
Oh, you're right. No,
so, but being able to run the ball, that's a problem for me in my 40%. The second option at receiver, that's a problem for me in my 40%. The third option for me, being able to protect the quarterback, Houston has done, I think, a phenomenal job as the last 6 or 7 games being able to protect whoever has been out there quarterback, and they've cut down on the sacks in 2025 compared to 2024 tremendously. So offensively, this is a offensively challenged team, right? They have their moments where they look good, i.e. the Chargers, then they'll fall off a cliff. The 60% that I'm rolling with is strictly based on that's been a problem the last 2 months of football for Houston. They have not lost a game in 2 months. They have had a victory winter, November, December in the last 2 months of football. And all of those issues has been a problem during that win streak, but they've been able to win games. And I think getting it done November, late November, the entirety of December going into January, that to me proves that when they do get to the playoffs, are they going to be able to make Josh Allen look bad again? Well, possibly. Are they going to be able to make Trevor Lawrence look bad again? I remember talking to D'Amico Ryans and I asked him about that game, the comeback game. He said, our plan was to make Trevor Lawrence throw the ball. So that shows you what they view of a quarterback. So that's why my 60% is, like that, why I believe Houston can do it, because the same thing they're going to face in the playoffs, they faced in the last 2 months of football, and they've been able to win games.
So the interesting thing about the way that this particular AFC script is playing out right now, if things stand pat, if you will, Buffalo's got a shot at the 7th seed to go into New England as a 7-2, and Buffalo as a 7, and the Texans should be cheering for Buffalo. If Buffalo as the 7 knocks off New England as the 2, and the Texans go handle business in the 5-4, that means the Texans get a home playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
If the 6-3 Chargers at Jacksonville. Now, Jacksonville's playing good football right now. Trevor is top 5 in QBR and passer rating, I think touchdown interception ratio over the last month. I read that a few minutes ago. So when you start looking at, you could have the number 1 seeded Denver Broncos in the divisional round hosting Buffalo, and you could have those same Chargers coming to NRG. That's interesting. Now you're talking about having to go outside on the road in week 1, or I should say week 1, round 1, the wild card round. Then you come back to NRG for a divisional game. Now that's a different set of ingredients. Under D'Amico Ryans, and that's the case with most teams, I'd say it probably skews a little bit more. Noticeable. The Texans play differently at home than they do on the road. So it's just, this year is just going to be a quirky year, and we'll see what happens. But I know I'm just uncomfortable. For those that didn't hear how the last segment ended, I'm just uncomfortable just saying, oh yeah, no matter what, the Texans can go on the road if everything has to stay true to form, and they can just go win 3 playoff games and get to a Super Bowl. Now, did I pick this team to win the division? Yes. Did I pick this team to win a playoff game? Yep. I didn't see a scenario where they would have to go on the road 2 or 3 times to get to a Super Bowl. To me, that's when I have to pump the brakes a little bit.
And look, that's where you give some credit to Jacksonville. I mean, we talked about this Sunday. This team is on the edge of winning 12 games this season, and you're not going to win your division. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's where you do credit the Jags to where they go win 13. Let's go off that assumption that the Texans, of course, win this weekend over the Colts. They get to 12. The Jags pick up win number 13, and they beat the Titans, who had set up being the 4-5 matchup. That obviously will be decided on who it is Sunday night, Pittsburgh versus Baltimore in Pittsburgh. Guys, when it comes to that matchup, who would you rather see the Texans play in that wild card round?
Pittsburgh.
Why?
I don't think Aaron Rodgers want to see that defensive line, man. I don't. And I'm gonna tell you one thing that really shocked me the other day when they took on the Browns in a must-win game for them, because if they win that game, we're not even having this conversation, right? He tried Denzel Ward 3 times in a row. Now, obviously, us here in Houston, we acknowledge maybe only one other cornerback over Derek Stingley, but a lot of times we put him in the same breath, and that's PS2. Denzel Ward, he ain't too far down the list in top cornerbacks.
Excellent. He's excellent.
Everybody know that. It's so funny.
Christian Gonzalez, yeah.
Shout out to my boy Gunzo. Had a great year. Only allowed 1 TD this year, I think. But for Aaron Rodgers to do that, man, I thought that just kind of showed where he was, like maybe mentally. He used to be a mental, cerebral quarterback, along with his ability to throw the ball. His velocity on his throws fell off a little bit, right? And so I say all that to say, if Aaron Rodgers has to beat that pass rush and then test the ball downfield against Houston's corners, we're looking at sacks and interceptions, and we're looking at good field position, and we're looking at the ability for Houston to at least be to set themselves up to score 3 points and, or get into the red zone, score 2 out of 5 times, what they've done this year. But Derrick Henry over there, man, he's juiced up right now. I don't know who could stop him. That could be something difficult for Houston to stop. James Cook went crazy. Another running back had a good game against him this year. So I think Pittsburgh is a more favorable matchup for Houston.
Troy Lanstan.
It's a tough one because you got to remember that Pittsburgh went out there without DK Metcalf on Sunday. That changes things. We also got to understand that the Pittsburgh Steelers took the field without TJ Watt. So you add those two. Kenneth Gainwell has been running the football well for the Steelers here as of late. Freiermuth at tight end. I think about he's not Trey McBride and he's not Brock Bowers, but he is a legitimate starting tight end. Freiermuth is, and we know how this team over the last couple of seasons have had their struggles with some tight ends. I think about that. DK Metcalf, a bigger body receiver on the outside. It just gives me something. I mean, they're out there with who were the wide receivers that they were throwing to? Adam Thielen was one of them. Vontae Scantlin was another one. So they're playing with kind of a skeleton crew right now. Let me see what TJ's Watt health is. Let me see what Metcalf's health is. I get a little nervous with Pittsburgh because, quite frankly, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have to be great for like 18 weeks, 17 games. Can he be vintage Aaron Rodgers for one half of football can be enough with him? Now, maybe that's some of the, I do like the other team in Texas on the NFC side. I've seen him go into Jerry World when he wore a different uniform and create some problems. So maybe that's me being a bit scarred by the name. But Mike Tomlin as a head coach and the players they have over there, Ramsey and Haywood, and even though those guys are a little longer in the tooth, when you get in a win or go home scenario in that type of environment, I get a little nervous. So I'm going to say I'd rather play Pittsburgh. And make sure I'm saying this right. If Watt and Metcalf are playing, I would rather play Tyler Huntley and the Ravens because I think D'Amico can give Huntley some problems.
So that's a great point. Will it not be Lamar? Yeah.
I mean, I have a hard
I know
time
it's up in
imagining
the
he's not
air
coming
right
back,
now.
but like, I mean, even when he's played this year, he hadn't been unbelievable Lamar.
That's true.
But this is where I'm going to use the word. I haven't used it, seemed like in about 6 weeks or so. When you start talking about aliens, when you get those type of dudes that know how to perform, and I get it, Lamar has had his druthers in the postseason. He hadn't played well in several instances. In some, he has. If Mark Andrews catches the football last year, there's a different narrative about how last year went for the Baltimore Ravens. But Lamar has turned the ball over. We've seen Justin Herbert not play his best football in the postseason. Bo Nix and Drake May just got here. Aaron Rodgers, long in the tooth, as John Hickman just outlined, but as accomplished pretty much as they come. And then, again, C.J. Stroud, 2 years, 2 playoff wins. So we can do, the ring of Rosie and choose to support or disprove any of these guys. There are blemishes on all of these guys. I just rather see Huntley. Now, if you're telling me Lamar is out there, I want no part of Lamar and Derrick Henry if I have another option.
I think I go back and forth. I could see Pittsburgh just being Pittsburgh, the history of it and it being scary to some people. And then part of me is like, again, the history of Baltimore, obviously with the Texans, but then I'm looking at them and I'm like, they hadn't been that good this year. I don't know. All I know is that when the Texans get to that first round, guys, you know what I'm going to do? Pick them to win by a lot because that's what I do here on the show. They didn't win by 42 like I picked this past weekend, but that's okay. Maybe I'm going to do that in the next segment. We'll talk about the final game of the season, what we want to see out of it, and the final tune-up for the Texans here to brief moment. Locked on Texans Squad Show. So the Indianapolis Colts come to town to face the Houston Texans in the final game of the regular season. Michael Connor, Stan Norfleet, and John Hickman with you on the Texans Squad Show. If you're watching live, we appreciate you. Make sure, of course, if you're new to the channel, if you're watching later on as well, to hit subscribe. John's got the daily show always, and making sure that you're up to date with the latest on your Houston Texans. Make sure you're checking him out, and you can always get this podcast wherever you go. Pick them up, search Locked on Texans, and it's free. Colts in town, guys. No Phillip Rivers. I mentioned that earlier. Sad face. I think it would have been really ugly for Phillip Rivers to go out against the Texans. They're probably saving him, to be honest with you, that he doesn't have to face the Texans in this last week. It was a cool story for a minute in that game against the 49ers. That's where it tells me the 49ers defense is terrible. He carved up the 49ers a little bit, and that game hit 44 off the couch in his second game back. But it is going to be Riley Leonard at quarterback for the Colts. Stan, what do you want to see from the Texans in this final game, the final tune-up? And honestly, if you get up big, do you consider pulling guys out of the game at some point?
Yes.
D'Amico says he's going to play the starters, and I'm be honest with you, given how much the wear and tear, how much this defense has been out there, I think especially guys that are nicked up, I would like to see dial back on some of these guys, like Derek Stingley Jr. Congratulations, bro! I'm gonna need you to take the day off.
Yeah,
I would consider. I would consider Kamari fighting off this knee. And I haven't seen today's injury report. I know today is kind of like walkthrough day for them, so I don't think they really, really practice. But I would just be curious to see who was on it. I have not looked at it yet. But Stingley for sure would come off the field for me. Azeez would come off the field for me. I might give Daniil just because he's a little older, more mileage. Some of those guys I would sit for the entire game, and then I would dial back. And I know you only have 46 some odd active guys, maybe up to 48 now with the emergency quarterback and stuff like that. I would really be cognizant. Dalton Schultz, Nico Collins. At some point, I'm gonna need y'all to dial back.
Yes, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, Woody Marks, you've been battling some stuff. Let's get you off the field. Jawar Jordan, Ray, Nick Chubb, y'all can take it the rest of the way. I'm going to need my guys to be at peak health and ready to roll. D'Amico said they're going to go play. I disagree with that philosophy, but he gets paid the money. He's in the seat. Hopefully it's the right decision.
I think if Houston goes up again like they did against the Chargers, 14-0 early, pull them. And 14, I think
you think 14-0's enough?
They're playing Riley Leonard, man. And I think Indy already said they're not playing a few players too, right?
I hadn't seen what Indy reported yet.
I think they're not going to play a few players as well.
They're insane if they play Jonathan Taylor. They're crazy for that.
It ain't for nothing. And I think there's value outside of wrestling with Stan. I'm glad you pointed out. But there's value in pulling some of those guys early, man. I think pulling Nico and Dalton Schultz would be so important because you got to see what some of these other guys can do and get them going before the playoffs as well. One thing that I hated was just how easily Houston went away from Jaden Higgins in that game. How easily Houston went away from Jalen Noah. So without Nico out there, they're going to have to throw it to somebody. Without Schultz out there, they're going to have to throw it to somebody. And I think that, it'll be good for Cade Stover to get majority of those reps as a quote unquote.
Agreed.
Same for Jawar Jordan, who's played some good
Higgins, Jawar Jordan, yes.
The one that we can, like you mentioned, we can say Woody Marks, a good job, brother. That seat over there is for you. You've done what we needed for you to do this year. We got high expectations for you moving forward, but you've been banged up. We're gonna need you next week, the following week. So some of these young guys, like I said, if you can get up 2 scores early in the game, or maybe just come out of halftime, Davis, go ahead and get you another audition. Because teams are gonna come calling for you this offseason. We already know it. Higgins, go get you some rhythm. Noah, go get you some rhythm. Cade Stover, you need it as well.
I left out CJ. Yeah, let's dial that back too.
Dial it back. And I think there's value there to give some of those young guys or some of these guys without the experience some reps, because the following week they're going to need, instead you pointed out, the offense got to be better. They're going to need each and every one of those guys to be at their top shape level and to perform well. So that would be my game plan. But I'm not D'Amico Ryans. I don't get paid that type of money to make that decision.
Would you guys?
Mike, what would you do, MC?
Oh yeah. No, go ahead.
What would you do, MC? Would you play Sting? Yeah, would you bench Stingley and CJ and some of those guys, or would you dial it back once they got to score a certain place?
I have no problem with benching some of the, or not even playing some of the defensive guys, because like you mentioned, they're playing Riley Leonard, so I'm okay with that. John's 14-0 for me.
It's not enough.
It's not enough. I need 21-0, and I don't know if I'm getting 21-0 with this team. I just don't. So I'm gonna be honest with you. CJ Stroud may be handing the ball off the entire game. Maybe you're not handing it to Woody Marks, but he might just have to stay his butt out there and hand the ball off the entire game if you can't get a 21-point lead against this Colts team, who has just been absolutely reeling.
This is going to be a tough game to watch. This is one of those. It's like, ugh.
And it's really, I mean, you look at the entire, we have 3 games that matter, but outside of that, the NFL schedule this weekend is a brutal watch.
Yeah, I think there are 4 divisions that still, the champion of the division still has to be, it's the NFC West, the NFC
North, NFC West, and the NFC South. That's it, right? Yeah.
So,
I know we're talking about the Texans, but personally, I kind of want to see Carolina get in.
Oh, I mean, given that
Tampa's been so bad lately, right?
They're reeling. Yeah. They're not playing well. 4 hours ago, the Colts put out their unofficial depth chart. Sorry, I got sidetracked.
Yeah, I was looking up Jonathan Taylor a moment ago to see if there's anything on him, but it doesn't look like. I mean, obviously, this is Tuesday when we're doing this show. There isn't even a Texans official report.
Yeah, the Texans were probably off tonight. They probably, D'Amico probably gave them Monday and Tuesday off. I see y'all. Because, no, that game was on Saturday. So I wonder if he gave them Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. See you today.
Yeah. And that's the lack of respect for the Colts that they have right now. Would you guys hit the panic button at all, though, if they played a really tight game where they had to play everybody the entire time? Like, what would that do to your feelings going into the playoffs?
With Riley Leonard's first career start, if they go out there and this game is a 3-point ball game and the Texans win because CJ leads a game-winning drive,
the 52-yard field goal.
It's not going to have the same luster.
That's very funny, MC. You didn't say CJ was going to do it. It's going to be the field goal.
The field goal. That wouldn't make your vibes feel pretty good, would they?
It would make some folks look around like, So, yeah, I think we'll see. Maybe they go out, and to John's point, we've seen them get up 14-zip. We've seen them get up 17-zip. Who was that? Was it the Cardinals? They got up 17-zip, bang, 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 and the first quarter of the game was over.
Yeah.
So maybe this is one of those types of things. But yes, I would be concerned if a 6th-round rookie in his first career start with a game they have nothing to play for meaning the Colts, if he goes out there, he just balls and have them in the ball game. Yeah, I'm gonna look around and like, what's really going on?
You panicking, John, in that scenario?
I'm not panicking.
I don't think I would panic. I'm gonna look around and like,
Yeah. That's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what Houston does. Houston, one of them teams, man, they're going to make you work for it. As a fan, they're going to make you work for that dub. They're going to make you work for that water cooler Monday talk, because the Raiders game, I'm sure fans are like, oh, man, hell no. But they're going to make you work. They'll get it done in the end. You'll have a little heart scare or two.
Oh, dude, this game this past week, I was telling Stan and Wade about it the other night when we did the show. Like, I spent the entire half, I felt like, standing up behind my couch because I couldn't sit down because it was making me so mad. Like, I was just enraged. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I've not. And I think that's a good thing that they've pushed me to the point where I'm that, invested in it at this point of the season. Like, I feel like they're that kind of team, like I mentioned earlier. But, like, no, you're right. Like, that, I'm not the biggest. I don't want to say not like a diehard, but like, my level of fandom after, Stan, this, like all those years when you're around it a little bit, like, I don't know. And John, you're probably getting this feel too. Like, it kind of takes off some of the lore of it, I guess. And it doesn't, your fandom kind of wanes a little bit to where
people get mad at me because I don't fan it.
Yeah, I mean, like
I just watch the games, man.
I still fan, but like it's just a different level than what it used to be.
And
Maybe,
I still fan. I just fan behind Analytics and what the tape shows.
yeah, but like,
I'm
man,
with you though. I understand.
it's just like they've actually changed they've gotten me invested again, and I'm happy about that we've reached this point. I'm invested.
Can I ask a question before we sign off? And it's for the both of you. And I need you to be serious, MC. John, I'm gonna come to you first.
Put my serious face on.
If the Houston Texans hold at the 5 spot, that means they go on the road in week 1. And we'll figure out week 2, the divisional round, and into the conference championship weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Just taking a snapshot, because we've done a whole lot of surveying the AFC. I want you to hear me clearly. Do you believe the Houston Texans will win the AFC and go to the Super Bowl? 17 weeks in, do you think they are going to?
I think the Houston Texans are good enough to make it to the championship game and potentially win. But you say this, okay.
Are they going to? Yes or no? And I'm putting you in this position for a reason. We all see they have the ingredients. Eric, stop this. I'm like praying for their downfall. What are you talking about? All right, John, will they do it?
Of the AFC, I am going to roll with.
If you had to bet your mortgage that these Texans, you had to bet the January mortgage. So coming out of the holidays, you got
I don't need to do that.
January mortgage.
Possible.
If you had to. That's not too, Rich Boy Jay. Stop that. John.
MC, I'm gonna pass it off to you first, man.
No, John. Okay, MC, John. But I won't. No, and I'm not trying to put y'all in a bind. What I'm saying is, there's a reason you have some hesitation. There's a reason that there's a little bit like MC. Will this team? We know they have the ability to. We know they have enough aliens. They have enough guys over there to go win the whole thing. I'm asking you. If they are indeed the 5 seed, and they have to at least start this playoff run on the road, either at Baltimore or Pittsburgh, and then we'll see whatever happens after that. Do you think they will win the AFC Championship?
It's going to come off as the homer, and I get that.
No, it's how you feel.
It's like I mentioned earlier, it's a combination of the confidence in this defense. I think that they have a historically great defense. In terms of I mean, both the back end's great too, but the pass rush is just so darn filthy. I think that they're going to make life hell for somebody in the playoffs. I think at the defense, we're about to see them go on a run I think the most recent one is the Broncos. I think that they can carry them through the Super Bowl. Yes, I'm going to pick the Texans to go to the Super Bowl this year for the first time in my life.
There's only one team in the AFC that scares me, guys, and that's for Houston, and that's New England. But their inexperience plays into the favor of Houston. I'm also going to roll with yes, because they've been in playoff environments for the last 2 months.
I am going to say I do not believe in this offense enough that they can win 3 road playoff games, even as spectacular as this defense is. I've been saying from the word go, if we go all the way back to training camp, what have I told you? I said the time is coming when we're going to get in January, and I'm going to say, can you go score enough? Now, Wade believes they can. The 2 of you believe they can. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe CJ goes out there and he looks 2023 CJ, and Nico, you get a touchdown. And there's Higgins again gets a touchdown. And maybe Kaylee is saving some stuff for when it's the absolute best time. Maybe. But based on the ink, we've seen this team do this on offense all year. Now, do I like the schedule they play? Absolutely. Do I like the fact that they won even with a backup, 3-0 undefeated with Davis Mills? I do. Do I like that Woody Marks grew on me as this season played out? Yeah, I wound up being right about Higgins and Noel. It's okay. People aren't going to tell me that, but I was right. They did not have the impact.
If Higgins gets 98 yards, he gets 600, and that's a good rookie year.
Higgins was brought here to be this team's number 2 receiver, and y'all know it. And he has not played like a number 2, but nor has Christian Kirk. And therein lies the problem. We haven't had a number 2 wide receiver. So I'm going to enjoy waiting to see how this thing plays out. I was just curious. I wanted to see, we all know that they have the ability to. I wanted to know how my cohorts here felt. Would they actually do it?
I think I'm going to do it. I just
think the offense is going to cost them, and I hope it doesn't. I do. I honestly God do. But the offense is going to cost them at some point. That defense has had more cracks than fans want to admit. Back-to-back weeks, Arizona and the Raiders putting up that many points on them is absurd. And D'Amico knows it. Now they come right back versus the Chargers and play like that. But then we have to factor in Chargers, mixed extra point, missed field goal, a red zone interception off a deflection, and Aziz comes down with it when Aronde Gaston could have caught the touchdown. Knowledge boom. Who would I bet my mortgage on? None of them. I don't trust anybody in the AFC.
Yeah, I think the champion's coming out of the NFC this year, personally.
Seattle looks good, man. Seattle looked good.
Yeah, Sam Darnold doesn't turn the ball over a million times.
Sam Darnold, that defense, the way they can run the ball and play defense. Jackson Smith and Jigba is out of his mind this year on the perimeter.
I wouldn't be shocked, guys. And I say this, and I've been talking down on this coach for a couple of years now. I wouldn't be shocked if somehow, some way, Shanahan get back to that playoff, to the Super Bowl.
I just do. I watch that. I would
defense. Not be shocked.
That defense can just be carved apart. They are playing a game of we just have to hope that we have the ball last and we score more than they do. That's why I don't like them.
Right
now, are they playing the first place schedule too?
The 49ers.
No,
are the 49ers? Are the 49ers playing first place schedule? Or was that Seattle?
First place last year, were they? No, Seattle definitely wasn't first place last year. It was the Rams that won the division last year.
Rams make sense. Okay, I'm sorry. That makes total sense. Okay.
I would not be shocked. I think right now you got Matthew Stafford's kind of falling off a little bit, but the best 2 quarterbacks in the NFC, Sam Darnold, Brock Purdy, and Matthew Stafford. Caleb Williams comes in at 4 for me. He's been playing.
I was going to say of the teams that are scary, what Ben Johnson is doing in Chicago, you got it, and they got the 2nd seed right now. If you got to go on the road to Chicago in a playoff environment, a playoff situation, good luck with that.
Chicago. And you know what makes Chicago good, man? Yeah. They are able to run that damn ball.
They can run the ball if Caleb protects the football. Yeah. Their defense isn't anywhere near as good as the Houston Texans, but they fly around and make some plays on defense as well. That's Chicago. That's a good football team. Ben Johnson, again, he should be Coach of the Year nominee for certain.
I cannot wait until we do this show and preview a Texans-Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl. The revenge of Monday Night Football. It's going to be absolutely awesome, guys.
It won't be at 9 o'clock this time.
Oh, thank God. We'll be off super late, but it won't be that late. All right, Colts on Sunday. When the game wraps up, of course, we'll be here for the Locked on Texans Squad show, wrapping it up. We appreciate everyone that watched live tonight. Make sure you're hitting subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure that you're also coming back and checking out John's daily work with the Locked on Texans podcast as well.
Real quick.
Yes.
Happy New Year, everybody. This will be the last time we meet before the new year. And I just want to say we got everything working chemistry-wise. This is the best Texans show in the city of Houston. And we're going to prove it even more in 2026, y'all.
That's right.
God bless you, brother. Appreciate that. Happy New Year to all, including the haters in the comment section. And for the supporters, appreciate and love y'all too. All of y'all can subscribe though.
You haters don't go away. Stan wouldn't be who he is without you. We need you. You're fuel, baby. Let's go.
It's a part of it. Yeah, it's definitely a part of it.
Yeah, like they said, Happy New Year to all of you. We'll talk to you Sunday after Texans and Colts on the Locked on Texans Squad show.